Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. How's everybody doing?
Good.
What's up, Brett? What's up,
Morning.
Dylan? Morning, Philippe. Bob Wilson's new. Hi, Bobby. Welcome. Oh, you're muted?
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Hi. What's up, Duncan? Cindy. Cindy back in Hawaii? She is.
Good morning. I'm driving. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Angelica. Nice to see you. Jasmine Bell. Hello, Jasmine. Hi, Shireen. Cindy.
Hey there.
Angie Hodges. Good morning, Jen again. Aloha. All right. Benita. I think Benita's got to do some stuff this morning. What's up, Duncan? Awesome. All right. So hopefully everybody's doing great and amazing. Let's get started. What's something good? Tell me something good. I know we got some good news. We're going to be talking about some good news here in the meeting today, but we'll save all this good stuff for later. But what else? Somebody got some good news going on? Something exciting? New closings, new escrows, listings, new buyers, new agents.
I have something to say. Adam signed up with EXP yesterday.
Nice.
So we're going through the onboarding process and everything, and I'm very excited. He's 23. He's studying marketing, so he goes to college, and he's also very excited about being a full-time realtor. So can't wait to see him. Exciting.
Awesome. Was this the one we talked to on the phone on Tuesday? Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Excited to have him on board. Cool. Good job, Angelica. And you, girl, you had like 2 back-to-back with Justice.
I know. And I have other people taking the course to get their licenses.
Awesome. All right. Well, keep going. Good job. Excited for you. Anybody else? Some good news? Something exciting? Come on. I got to have some exciting news here. What's up, Storms? Good to see you, sir. Bardit.
What's going on, man?
Hi, good morning.
Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
Sir?
Well, I'm Storms. I said hi to Storms too. Sorry, Bardit. I was talking to 2 people at once. You're nuts. Good to see you, Bardit.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else got some good news? Something good. Come on. We got 20 people on here. Somebody's got to have some good stuff. Nothing happened exciting in anybody's life in the last week? No? Okay. Well, that's scary.
I guess I'll go since nobody's going. So after EXPCon, which was we'll talk about it. There's so much amazing stuff that happened there. It just worked out travel wise that I have some friends from the Marines that I haven't seen in like 20 years, and they regularly kind of get together every other year or whatever. And I've never gone, and they had a get together in New Orleans this past weekend. So I flew directly from the debauchery of Vegas to the debauchery of New Orleans, and but just was just an awesome experience hanging out with. I mean, these are literally like my go-to-work friends, right? I mean, that's the last time I seen these guys was in 2003, and almost like no time had passed. And it's cool when you have those types of friends that like you did not see them in 20 years, and it's just like you hang out. It's like not a day has gone by. So
that's
awesome.
Stoked
for that. Yeah, I told him we got to do the next reunion in Hawaii.
Oh shoot! I saw some of the videos you shot. It was like, was it anniversary of somebody's anniversary or something like that too?
Yeah. So the dude that organized it, like he just likes to party, and so he threw a 5-year wedding anniversary party, which he admitted at the party was just an excuse to get all his friends together to party. So it was kind of still like, who does a 5-year anniversary party? But he was like, it was just an excuse to get everybody together, and it was nice. It was right on the water in New Orleans, like 2 streets away from Bourbon Street. Killer food. I mean, yeah, I've never been there. The food in New Orleans is amazing. So.
Best food ever. I mean, it's great food, and the atmosphere and energy is crazy there. For those that have been there,
yeah.
I think we had EXP shareholders there the very first year, like 2017, which ironically was the last year I stopped drinking alcohol, and there's a reason why. It was not good in New Orleans. That was not a good setup there. Oh my God. Anyway, so yeah, I from that point have not drank another sip of alcohol. I'm good. But anyways, yes, New Orleans is a beautiful spot. If you haven't been, got to go. Good for you, Dylan. That's awesome, man. Good to get with those guys like that. I love it. Anybody else? What's up, Agata? Good to see you. Lou, Jessica. Welcome, welcome. How you guys doing? Anybody else got something good before we move on? Bueller? No? Okay. Couple things. The book of the month. For those that didn't, we finished a great book last month, The 10X is Easier Than 2X, which is a great read. Again, if you didn't get that book, man, I strongly recommend it. It blew my mind. And as far as like even Dylan, people, even we read very avidly. That book blew my mind. I read a lot of books. I think I'm at like 10 already for the year. That book was like boom, explosion for me. Anyways, this one, new one, Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday. For those who haven't seen it yet, get it. It's in there. Oh, you can't see it. Anyways, Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday. Great read too. It's the new book of the month. It is in the Google Classroom. It's also on the Facebook Team Freedom page. Definitely get into that. You know, that's my thing. Every week, if you're not reading, you're dying, man. I'm telling you right now, if you're not reading, you are dying. This changes the trajectory of your life and your business tremendously, 1,000%. So you will not like disservice yourself by reading your book. Secondly, for those that are in Hawaii, today is iHeart EXP, which company-wide, they are doing beach cleanups here for us in Hawaii. So I think Big Island, Dylan, you guys are doing some stuff and at one of the beaches.
Yep. East side and west side. And then, yeah, the Maui crew has a setup too. So if you want to participate and don't have the information, let me know and I can get it to you.
Totally. I sent both sheets and stuff, sign-up sheets and stuff on the Facebook Team Freedom page as well. If you want to click on it for the potlucks, you're having potlucks out there. Out here in Oahu, I think we're doing Queens Beach from 3 to 6:30, but I think the actual cleanup is like from 4 to 5, and then there's a potluck afterwards at the park. So whatever, come on out. Show support. If you can make it at 3, you can make it at 6. Just come out. Show some support. Show some love for EXP, iHeart EXP. So we're giving back to the community. Thirdly, what else? I had something else I want to say. Shoot. I forgot my memory pills again today. I forgot to take them. So anyways, it'll come back to me later. I'm sure it'll sprout and all that idea, but I had something I had to say too, and I forgot. But anyways, we're going to move forward then to our mortgage minute with Duncan. See, Duncan, welcome, sir. And Duncan just came back from Disneyland was it last week or week before, Duncan? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Duncan. You're still on mute. I hit your mute button there. You find it? Still says you're muted there.
Okay, there we go.
So awesome. There we go.
Yeah, it was the week before last. Took my 3-year-old and 16-month-old, and we had a great time. We came back, and my son was singing Small World, and he kept wanting to go back. So it's pretty cool. He's at the age now where he can appreciate it, and he knows what he likes.
Well, successful trip to Disneyland then. Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Good for you. So yeah, give us that. What's going on with rates? Obviously, is a great conversation right now. I think everybody's kind of worried a little bit about them, maybe not. But if you are, what do we got going on in the world of rates and mortgages?
Rates are, as of Friday, hit a multi-decade high after a payroll report that came out. The payroll report actually was not as strong as the headline showed. The headline was 336,000 new jobs. Underlying the details, there were actually 1 million government jobs that were created. So as people realized that the report wasn't as bad as expected, you saw the stock market reverse from a big gap down to a big close higher, and you've seen bonds recover. Rates are much lower today than they were as of Friday. But I wanted to talk to you guys today about something that not many people know about. A veteran, non-veteran co-borrow loan. Is that okay? I'll talk to you guys about that.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my window. We bought our place 2.5 years ago, right where things were pretty crazy with multiple offers on a lot of different properties. The place that we found was in escrow for 2 days, and it already had 2 backup offers. I'm sure it was pocket listing. So we found it, and my wife said, this is the perfect house. And I told her that there's no way we're going to get it because it was in escrow, 2 backup offers. Fortunately, a couple of weeks later, our agent called us and said it fell out of escrow, and both backup offers had found another place. So we got the place, we submitted our offer, got it accepted, and then at the inspection, the listing agent told us, my VA guy who does all my VA loans said, you can't do this. It was a joint veteran, non-veteran VA loan. We were buying with a family Ohana member, a very close family friend, and they said, you can't do this. I said, well, tell your VA guy that to look in Chapter 7 under veteran, non-veteran loans. And then she came back to me next time, and she was all on our side. First, she was skeptical, then she was all on our side, a big advocate for us. Then when the loan came to approval, the underwriter said, you guys can't do this. We were doing a piggyback HELOC. And she said, you can't do a piggyback HELOC on a VA loan. I told her, yes, you can. And I sent her the guidelines, and sure enough, we could. And she approved it, and she was a big advocate for us, which was great when we went to the VA office. I'll tell you a little bit more about a veteran, non-veteran loan, what needs to be done. But she was a big advocate for us and convinced the guy at the VA office to let us close on the loan. So not many people know, even the VA guy who does all that lenders or that sellers VA loans, not many people know that you can do a joint VA, non-VA loan. I am going to show you next, the problem. How do you qualify for a higher priced house in this market? Prices are so much higher, rates are so much higher than they used to be. The solution for a lot of people is co-borrowers, even on a VA loan. I had a couple come to me the other day. They said they wanted to buy a place. They were going to live in it. Their parents are going to live in it. And they went to another lender, and they told them that they can't qualify for what they wanted to buy. And they came to me, and I told them, yeah, we can do it. You can do a joint VA, non-VA loan. A joint veteran, non-veteran VA loan. Now, what has to happen on a veteran, non-veteran VA loan? You must have a close relationship that the VA office approves. Usually it's a family member. Sometimes it can be done when it's not a family member, but it has to be something that is explained and the VA office approves. The non-veterans must put 25% down of their portion. So if it's 50-50, they got to put 12.5% down. In our case, it was 2/3, 1/3. So we had to put 16 and 2/3% down. But you can use a piggyback HELOC to come up with the gap difference. So if you have to put 12.5% down, you only have 5% down, you can get a HELOC to cover that difference. The veteran must qualify for their portion of the loan. So you can't have some veteran that has no income. They've got to have enough income to qualify for their half or their third or whatever their portion is. And it requires VA prior approval, which means the VA office has to approve it after it goes through conditional approval and gets the approval from the lender. And most lenders won't do them. So you can go to a lot of loan officers, they either won't know about it or the lender they work for won't do them. So there's not many people that can do these loans, but it's a great solution in this market because you got a lot of veterans that don't have enough income to buy the property that they want to buy, but they have parents or someone else that they want to buy with that they can qualify for the loan when they do that. In our example, we had the one disabled vet, my wife and I were non-vets. We had to put 16 2/3% down. We only wanted to put 5% down, so we used a piggyback HELOC. At the end, buyer, seller, and agents were all super happy. The advantages of using a piggyback HELOC, you can qualify using only 5% down instead of the 16 2/3 in this case. And you can use the HELOC repeatedly. We used it, we paid it off and reused it again. So it's a great way to get into a home and with the HELOC, use that HELOC, not only on VA loans, for other types of loans where you use piggyback HELOCs. The HELOCs can be reused for other purposes once you pay them off. So that's, in a nutshell, veteran, non-veteran loan. You can look up our reviews. You Google, Yelp, Zillow, and this is my why with my wife and the 2 kids that we just took to Disneyland. This QR code, that's my pitch card with a little video in it. So if you guys ever want to, you have a situation where you have a veteran that wants to qualify with parents or with somebody else, feel free to reach out. This is my contact information. You can scan that QR code and it'll pull up my pitch card with a little video with my kids as well. So I hope you guys learned something here. I think it's something that most agents and actually most loan officers don't know about, and it's something that's very valuable in the current market that we're in.
Awesome. Thanks for that. I think Vanina had a question real quick. Vanina, got a question?
Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to ask Duncan, what if in the case that the veteran is the parents, but the parents are retired, so they don't have income? Would that still work?
The veterans, the parents would have to qualify for their portion of the loan. So if they have half the loan or then they would have to qualify for their half. So they don't have to qualify for the whole thing, but they would have to qualify for their half. And if they're retired, they probably have some sources of income, and we're good at creating sources of income that other lenders aren't able to do. We take over a lot of loans, and we're able to create sources of income to qualify people, especially when they have assets, if they have retirement accounts. We can be creative in creating streams of income that other lenders won't use. So we've taken over a lot of VA loans, other types of loans, and we've gotten loans approved that other lenders couldn't. So you can feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to work with them and find ways to have them qualify for more than they would with another lender.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Angelica, go ahead. Get a question?
Yes, what's the percentage on the non-veteran part?
The non-veteran depends on what the percentage ownership is going to be determining how much they have to put down. So if it's 50-50, if it's one veteran, one non-veteran, or two veteran spouse and two non-veterans, then it'll be 50-50. So they would have to put 50% of the 25%. So basically the VA guarantee gives you 25% down. So the veteran, the VA covers their 25%, but the non-veterans have to put 25% of their portion down. So if they're 50%, there's 4 people and then 2 of them are non-veterans, they have to put 12.5% down. If it's 2 non-veterans, 1 veteran, it'd be 16 2/3, 2/3 of 25%. So it depends on how many borrowers, how many are veterans and how many non-veterans, but their portion is the percentage that they have to put down. Percentage.
Can you do it with assumable?
No, on a assumable loan, you have to go by
percent?
the current lender's requirements, and you wouldn't be able to. Everything is determined by the current lender, so you have to go by the current lender's rules, and they're not likely to allow you to do a veteran, non-veteran on an assumable, but you can always ask. A lot of the lenders are really strict on their rules on assumable loans, so it's all up to the lender that has the loan, that's servicing the loan.
But when you mentioned the HELOC, you said something in the line of if you use a HELOC, then it's less. So how does that work?
So a piggyback HELOC, you can get a HELOC, and not a lot of people know this. You can get a HELOC on a place that you're purchasing, and so the HELOC is done at the same time as the first mortgage. So we do that a lot to help fill the gap if someone wants to buy a place, especially on jumbo loans where a jumbo lender might require 20% down. We might get a HELOC for 10% or 15%, and then they have their own cash for the 5%. So in this market where people don't have enough cash for the down payments that required for a certain loan program, we'll do that a lot. We'll work with lenders to do a piggyback HELOC to fill that gap.
The piggyback HELOC cover closing costs?
No, the piggyback HELOC would be for the down payment portion. You'd have to use your own cash for the closing costs. One thing you can do for closing costs is either if they don't have enough, you can use the seller credit, or you can go with a higher rate to get negative points to help cover the closing costs.
Sure. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Welcome.
Awesome, Duncan. That was some good food for thought. Thank you. Good addition for everybody to kind of put that into place and use it as tools and arsenal for buying power.
Yeah, it's a big edge because not many agents, not even loan officers, know about it. So, and something that can make the difference between being able to buy a place and not.
Yep. Especially right now in these times, right? We're all looking for different ways to be creative. So awesome.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you, Duncan. Appreciate you, sir.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay. Also, I remember to say this Thursday, by the way, is our business planning clinic in Oahu. So if you're here and you want to come, it is Thursday. I will put the Eventbrite link right now in the text thread. And that's where you need to register. So that's this Thursday, 4 to 7 in Hawaii Kai at our Gather co-work space. So awesome. All right. Moving forward. Shireen and Duncan and anybody else. Obviously, I talked to Shireen and Duncan Shireen and Dylan. Sorry, Shireen and Duncan. Shireen and Dylan, who had attended EXP Con, and anybody else that did and has some great nuggets. But we'll start off with that first, kind of give us a recap of all the exciting stuff that happened at EXP Con, kind of give you guys a glimpse of what's happening with EXP. So I don't know who wants to start first, Shireen or Dylan. Who wants to go for it and share your screen to knock it out. It's theirs. So who wants to go first? Go for it, Dylan. Shreen's not on the camera, so go for it.
I'm just gonna dive into a bunch of crazy ass data if you guys want to do that. I mean, all right. Stand by. Let me get into my slide deck here.
Oh, there's Shreen. Oh, Shreen had to get in her car. That's right. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay, so Mike Del Preti was and this stuff is all on his website. It's down there at the bottom, MikeDP.com. But he was the keynote, and then on day one or day two, the first general session day, and then there was a VIP track if you bought a VIP ticket, and he did a longer session with, and then half of it was like with Glenn Sanford, and they were kind of talking back and forth and asking each other questions. It's super interesting, and he has a ton of information, right? So I don't know if the general real estate agent cares about the general profitability or the financial health of their company. I think it matters. I mean, it matters to us because we're all shareholders. And so here's just a bunch of stuff. I'll kind of run through it just so you guys have tools that you can talk to other agents about so they understand. I mean, I guess if you're at like Coldwell Banker and you don't have equity, like you could very much not care if they're profitable or not. But the big takeaway, the big message I think we have to always go back to is that companies cannot be unprofitable forever, especially in the market that we're in, right? When we were in the hot market, interest rates were low, venture capital was flowing in, you could borrow money. Like it was better to bet on a real estate startup than it was necessarily putting it in a mutual fund or something like that with a lower rate of return. So that has gone away, right? Like now, if you can get 10% in the stock market and or in some other, even like a CD or something, you can get a better rate of return than investing in an unprofitable real estate company. These companies that were doing that, particularly Compass, are going to be in trouble. And if you're going to be continually unprofitable, you really have only one choice, right? It's to take more money from the agents. There's no way to become, there's more sales aren't happening anytime soon. You're not going to increase your commission rates. Like if you look at all the variables in the real estate business, if you're a real estate brokerage and you need to close a profitability gap, there's only one way to do it in this market, and that's to take more money from the agents. And so that's what's going to be happening, you guys, over the next 12, 18 months, is that whatever sweet deal people think they have or whatever sweet deal they think they got, like that stuff's going to change. Fees are going to go up. Splits are going to change. Things are going to start happening. Benefits are going to be pulled back. Staff is going to be cut, right? The agent that is with an unprofitable company is going to have a different experience. And so here's just a couple of slides that break this all down, right? So EBITDA is like some bullshit way that companies like adjust their financials to show that they're in good shape. Even in this like smoke and mirrors BS way, EXP and United, which is a little tiny flat fee brokerage, are the only publicly traded real estate companies in America that are profitable, right? But if you look at it as just net profit and you take away all the hocus pocus, financial shenanigans that they do. Also, this is EBITDA per transaction. The next one will show the net profit, but this is interesting, right? Like Compass loses $1,900 per transaction that they close, right? EXP makes $130. Not a lot of money, but on scale, when you're the number one company selling more units than anybody else, that's why we have profit, right? But all of these companies, this is how much money they're losing per transaction, right? Douglas Elliman is losing like almost $4,000 per transaction. Like it's insane. It's like you cannot do business like that forever. Mm-hmm. So this is the per transaction EBITDA. So this is net income, right? So if you break down and you wipe away all of the like crazy accounting, corporate accounting that they do, this is just net profitability. EXP is still profitable and the only really one that's profitable. And if you look at like Compass, right, they lost in quarter one $200 million. If you look at their EBITDA number, it's like 60 million, right? So they're like, there's a lot of hocus pocus going on here. When you look at the actual number, it's like $200 million that they're losing, right? This isn't a quarter. It's not even like they're like on track to lose like $1 billion this year, right? So it's totally insane. And the only way that that's going to change is the agent experience is going to have to get worse at these companies for them to have any chance of survival, or they're just going to have to shut down and go away, right? And I had a great back and forth with some agents that were like interviewing over here, and they ended up like canceling the meeting with me and just saying we decided to go to Compass. And so I just nicely emailed them back and said, hey, no problem. I'll be here when Compass runs out of money and shuts down. Please, check this article out. I don't know if you care about the profitability or financial health of your real estate company. I do, because we're all owners, but you should just go in eyes wide open, if you want to talk about it, give me a call, right? So, I mean, it's an easy thing to just hit them with that. Like, agents need to know about this stuff. This is agent count change. So if you look at companies that are growing, this is just pure, it's not a percentage, right? This is pure number of agents changing. Real is growing faster than we are from a pure agent count. They're still tiny, right? They're like, I think they just hit, I don't know, 8,000 agents or something like that. So we're like 10 times bigger, but we're still growing in a market where like Remax and Anywhere, the legacy brands, Redfin, they're bleeding agents, right? They have a loss in agents, and Compass is almost at net zero, less than 500 agents net gain. This is interesting. Revenue paid to agents. If you look at everybody who's above 90%, right? These are all of the disruptor, tech-based, cloud-based companies, low-fee brokerage models. And EXP is really the only one with any significant value proposition. Most of these are like just a low-fee brokerage that if you do like less than 10 transactions a year and you only got to pay $800 a transaction, it kind of makes sense financially for you. But if you look at the legacy models, right? Anywhere, Compass, and Douglas Elliman, and Anywhere is former Realogy, right? So all the big franchises are Anywhere. So Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Windermere. I mean, like there's all of those all of the big franchises that you think of are all in Anywhere. And so if you look at the difference, right? 81% of revenue paid out to agents versus EXP at 91%. It's a huge difference. And at the end of the day, that number, that 81%, is going to have to shrink because they're losing so much money. And so they're not going to sustain this. Even Anywhere and Douglas Elliman, they're all losing money. So they have to continue to reduce that amount paid to agents, which overall is what agents care about. And things are going to change if they do that. This is the transactions per agent. So this dispels the myth that the low fee disruptor type models are just not productive, right? I get that crap all the time. They say like we just recruit and EXP doesn't really sell real estate, even though we're already the #1 brokerage in the whole entire state in terms of units. But if you look at the number of transactions per unit, it's not impressive, right? It's like 1 transaction per unit, but that's the same for every single company. So any company who claims to be like more productive, really EXP and KW and Compass are like the top 3. But if you look at the difference between, this is such a tiny difference, it's almost statistically insignificant, right, between Compass and EXP. So Compass, for all of the chest bumping that they do, like, are not more productive. They're pretty much the exact same as EXP. And if you look at some of these other companies like Anywhere, it's less than 1 transaction per agent is their production level. So and then Fathom and United are these flat fee brokerages that attract the bottom feeders, right? That want to spend the least amount of money. So obviously they're the least productive. And stop me if you guys got any questions. I'm just wrapping through this. I got a couple more. And I'll share this with all you guys. Chris could send this out and post it, or you can just go on Mike's website and read all his stuff. And there's a way better analysis than I can do. So this is transactions, the reduction in transactions per agent, right? So how less productive have agents gotten in the first quarter of this year versus the first quarter of last year. And if you look, Douglas Elliman has had the smallest fall, but EXP is the next, right? So we had even though we're down like 7% in terms of number of transactions per agent, it's the least amount versus everybody else. Where if you look at like KW, they're down over 10% per agent. United's Anywhere is down like 14%. Compass is down 15%. So those companies are hurting way worse, and they're spending way more money, and they're losing way more money. And that's the dynamic that's the real estate market is going to have to face here going forward. And then that's it. So that's a quick rundown of Mike Del Preti's thing, probably 2 hours of listening to him. That's the summary. But that was my big takeaway from it, is that the real estate industry is going to change. Like he called it, which is funny because he's not an EXP guy, right? He's just an objective analyst for the market, and he called it the Netflix blockbuster moment. That's what it's been a while. We've kind of all known this was coming. It's been part of the EXP pitch for a long time. It's just taken a little bit longer, and this down market is what's gonna cause it. And I think in the next 12 months we'll see some radical shifts in the real estate business model, and maybe some of the old school players going away and not being around anymore.
Yeah, 100%. And it's actually, I've talked to a lot of agents, especially a few of them, a couple from Corcoran actually, that have just said recently they raised their monthly fees to $300. It's insane. And so you're already seeing that pinch right now of brokerages that are taking that gouge out of agents because they have to. You're right, Dylan. You can't go anywhere else. There's nowhere else to bleed money at that point. You can't suck blood from a turnip. So at this point, you go to the agents because they're the masses in your organization. So I'll go start maybe adding a nickel and a dime here and there, right? But that adds up when you have 3, 4, 5, 600 people in your business. That adds up.
That's a big differentiator if you're having the discussion with folks that are looking at Real, right? Because Real's probably our biggest competitor. I mean, they're the best knockoff of EXP that's out there, even though there's a few. And this is the thing to point to, right? Is that a big difference between EXP and Real is EXP has never lost money, right? It's always been profitable from the very beginning. EXP has never raised money. They've never done like a capital round where they've raised money and they owe investors. It's always been money that's been raised from the agents. Real, on the other hand, has never been profitable, right? So they're still losing money. Like, what is this? Like $20 million or something like that. And they're small, right? So like, their amount of production is way smaller than, say, a Compass, where if you look at it as a proportion, like Compass, yeah, they can lose $200 million because they're doing multi-billion dollars in production, where Real's a lot smaller. So if you look at a proportion, that's going to be a change. And if you've seen recently, they've raised their fees too, right? So agents who say like, oh, you don't have to pay a $85 monthly fee, so it's better. You really pay like twice as much when you close. So you don't pay it until you close, but you pay net more a year in standard fees at Real than you would at EXP, but people don't like dig into it and actually look at it and figure out the net of what the costs are. But yeah, that's an issue too, is that if they can't continue to lose $20 million a year and do business. And so things are going to have to change, whether it's the splits changing, the cap changing, the monthly fees changing, all that stuff is going to have to adjust.
Yeah, it always cracks me up when I start hearing people talk about free stuff, right? Because at this point, I think now everybody wants to see that word and hear that word because we're obviously in a financial pinch. So when you look at your business model, from a scarcity mindset, people are like, where can I go get the most with the least amount of money, or free? Well, the free card at this point really isn't free, everybody. You understand that. Nothing in the world is free ever. You're going to get it in the front. You're going to get it in the back. You're going to get it one way or the other, and it's just now or later, right? So it's this whole free thing kills me. Well, whatever. That's a whole nother conversation, but yeah.
And all of this was connected to, there were some really good sessions with Glenn Sanford and Leo Pajeda and Michael Valdez, and in a era where every brokerage is losing money and needs to reduce the benefit to agents, EXP is doing the opposite, right? They have the boost program where you for the first 12 months you're going to automatically have 3 levels of your rev share unlocked, so that's going to give you more money. They reduced the FLQA count from 40 to 30 to unlock level 7, which is a humongous, I mean, that was like, for somebody like me, I was like, man, even though I brought in lots of people, like getting to 40 FLQAs was intimidating. 30 is completely doable. There's a big difference there between 30 and 40. They have the incentive program now. So if you're talking to an indie broker that does $100 million in production or more, there's an incentive program to help them with costs of moving their brokerage over to EXP. So EXP is increasing the value proposition constantly, and in an era where because they're profitable, in an era where everybody else's value proposition is going to go in the other direction. So super cool to see that, and that mindset from the leadership. And we're led by very competent people with the right spirit and mindset, and that's inspiring to see firsthand.
I love it. That's amazing. Yep, that's exciting, especially right now in the financial.
Dylan,
oh, go ahead.
Just want to tell Dylan. Dylan also mentioned the rev share kind of working like a Venmo.
Sorry, I missed the last part.
Oh, like a Venmo. So now I guess the new rev share option now has changed up too for your monthly income or residual.
Yeah, so that's a cool thing that not just rev share, but we don't really deal with it in this state, but in other states, you cannot have escrow pay you directly, right? It's got to go to the brokerage, and the brokerage has to pay you. And so the way operationally it works, and this is the way every brokerage would always work, is they would wait to collect the check, deposit it, and then pay the agent. So there could be a 3 to 5 day delay in between getting paid and closing, where EXP, what they're going to do is just float that. They know if the check is coming, they're just going to pay agents directly, and they're going to do the same for revenue share. So right now, you kind of got to wait like 4 to 6 weeks before the closings that you get paid on with revenue share this month happen like 4 to 6 weeks ago, the previous month, and they're going to make it in real time. So as soon as deals close, you're going to get paid the same month, and so you don't have to wait. And just more cool stuff like operation on the back end that they're working on to increase the value proposition for us.
That's actually insane to think like that. Like literally, it's gonna be real time. As soon as money, because I know about you, right? I look at my back end, my office, and I just watch my ticker move every day, sometimes every couple hours. It just keeps adding up, and that's kind of crazy to think that now you can withdraw it from like a bank. Here you go. I just bought it $1,000. I'll take that. It's so crazy. Okay. Awesome. Anything else? Like so, Shereen, anything else to you guys? Dylan, you guys have anything else that you had besides? I love those numbers, by the way. I think it's important for you guys to understand from a financial standpoint where EXP stands, where you are. It's your company. It's your company. It's our company. You're right. We're all shareholders. So for most people out there, agent-wise, they're not going to really care nor want to take the time to understand this stuff because, quite honestly, they have no stake in the game. You do. This is actually your company that you want to understand. So you guys say something, Dylan? I see you biting the show.
I got plenty of stuff. Unless Shireen's got to go, I'm not going to dominate, but I got plenty of notes here. So.
Yeah, Shereen, you got
No,
something?
Dylan, with me driving, it's just much easier. Thank you. I'm on my way to a final walkthrough. Thank you.
I got you. So one more conclusion that Mike Del Preti had, which was cool, was at the end of his general session talk, he says, okay, so I guess you guys want to know what my top 3 recommendations are to survive and thrive in this market going forward. He said, so number 1 is get the latest and greatest, most expensive CRM software out there. Number 2 was make sure to become a social media influencer. And number 3 was start buying more leads from all these online lead sources or something like that. It was kind of ridiculous, right? And like the room was silent. There was like 5,000 people. The room is silent. And he like let it be silent for like 10 seconds. It gives awkward silence. He's like, you guys, I'm joking. And so that his next slide was, and it's sad that this has got to be said, but I mean, I experience this on a daily basis. He said, here's the 3 things you got to do to survive this market. He said, 1, when somebody calls you, call them back. He said, 2, if somebody texts you or emails you, write them back. And then 3, through those 2 efforts, build a meaningful relationship. Like that's all you got to do, right? Is you have to just go back to basics, be a communicator, be responsive. And that's how right now agents all over the that's mute Cindy.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Agents all over the country in our and especially in our market, they're getting part-time jobs being a hostess at a restaurant, right? They are starting to work at Home Depot. They're starting to push carts at Costco. Like the opportunity for us to soak up all that market share is so huge. We just got to go out there and do it. So that was a huge takeaway from at the end. Is just go back to basics. It's not the time for innovation. It's not time to be fancy. It's not time to start trying new stuff. Like just get out there and call people back and write them back.
Here's the interesting thought that I want to add is that I think a lot of people, when you're in this business for a long time, 10, 15, 20 years, you honestly feel like you don't want to go back to that basic stuff because you've graduated at this point in your business. For you to go back that way, it's almost kind of an ego thing. I'm telling you right now, everybody, the basic stuff really works. This is the only time I'll ever say the VHS videotape is better than Netflix. In that situation, going back to it because it's reliable, it freaking works. I could pull one in the garage right now, put it in and play it, and it will show a movie. So it does work. Is it effective? Is it efficient? Is it scalable? No, but it does work. Go back to basics and do the things that you did before to get your business to where it's at today and really hone in and get intentional on that. That's it. It's back to the simple shit. Simple shit really works. Nobody in this page is above that either. Nobody is. Just FYI. Awesome, Dylan. Thanks for sharing that. And it's funny. I actually met with somebody yesterday, an agent who actually did have to go back to doing 2 jobs because he can't do real estate right now, but he wants to sell real estate. But he's got 2 jobs that he has to do. So I get it.
Can I ask a question
Yes.
that maybe it might not be appropriate, but did they address at the EXPCon the impact to the industry that brokerages leaving NAR might have, NAR?
Yeah, I did sit through a legal panel. It was a little bit mind-numbing. I mean, the big takeaways are. Let me go to my notes on that. So this was something that was said, which kind of hit me hard, right? And something that we should all reflect on is agents don't get paid in relation to their experience or expertise. And that's a problem from a consumer standpoint, right? And I think that's a fair concern, right? Is that regardless if you're brand new or you've been around for 20 years, like you get paid the 6%, whatever it is, 5% that your that you negotiate for. And that's something that we all, you know, this whole experience, I think we all have to reflect on, is what is our true value proposition, right? And are we as valuable as we say we are or we want to be? And I think there's a lot of people in the industry who are not, and that's what the problem is, right? That's the crux of the problem. That's why the DOJ is involved, is that this seems like an unfair consumer situation where in normal life, if you just want to buy like a cheap shirt, you can go to Walmart and you buy a cheap shirt. Where if you want to buy a Louis Vuitton shirt, you can go spend $300 on a t-shirt. But in real estate, you don't have that opportunity, right? It's that opportunity vastly does not exist unless you go to kind of like a flat fee brokerage or whatever. I mean, there's some stuff out there, but really the majority of the industry is just, we kind of have a monopoly on what the commission rate is. And so that's the issue. At the end of the day, I don't think anything's going to change, right? Like, we're just going to have to change our business practices. So if a seller cannot or no longer is required to offer a buyer's agent commission, we're just, as buyer's agents, going to have to negotiate that, right? So what you would write in special terms is just seller agrees to pay buyer brokerage 3% of sales price. And so it's not going to be in a listing contract per se. The listing contract is just going to cover the seller compensation. And we as a buyer are going to have, buyer's agent is going to have to negotiate for the buyer side of the commission, or buyers are going to have to start paying that commission. I think it doesn't make sense when people say, and we should never say this, right, as agents, oh, it's free to work me as a buyer because the seller pays all the commission. That's part of the problem, is we say that, and it's not true, because at the end of the day, the commissions come out of the final sales price, and the buyer is the one providing all of that cash to the seller, right? So the buyer and seller commissions are part of the overall negotiated sales price. And so it's not coming from the seller. I mean, it shows up on a settlement statement as a seller cost, but really the entire seller proceeds are coming from the buyer, right? So at the end of the day, it is really shared. So if that's the case, you know, we're just going to have to change the way we do business, sign buyer representation agreements, which guarantee compensation. We've already been doing this. Like, we get people on the island here that like offer 2% or, 2% buyer compensation on their listings. And we go to the buyers and say, you got to give us 2% more. Like, we have such a value proposition as an operation on a big island that, like, if you want to work with us, you're going to pay for it. Like, you're not going to pay cheap. Like, you're not going to get cheap, because I get plenty buyers. I get plenty leads. Like, if you want the level of service that we can provide and level of expertise that we can provide, we're going to get paid 3%. So we're starting to charge buyers. If we get the cheapo listing, that's 4%. We charge buyers the other 2% so we can get a full 3% on it. So that's something we all got to think about as buyers agents, is what is your true value proposition? I think we focus on that a lot on the sell side. We try and differentiate ourselves on the sell side, but we don't really do it on the buy side. Like, everybody's the same, right? I just drive you around in my car and show you properties and write you an offer, versus like, what is your true value proposition, your true expertise? What kind of service level can you provide? Like, for us personally, like, I always tell people, if you want to see property anywhere on the Big Island within 45 minutes, I can make that happen. And there's nobody on the Big Island can match that value proposition, right? It just doesn't exist. So if you want that as a buyer, or in addition to that, I can get you an agent to show that property that is an expert in that neighborhood, in that type of market. If it's a farm, they're an expert on a farm. If they're vacant land, whatever it is, like, I can get you the best. So you're not just like picking a vanilla agent that you hope can do everything, because that's usually what the consumer does in this business, because we don't elevate our value proposition. So that's all stuff. I think it's good. I mean, I think it's a good thing for the industry that we have to have this discussion. And then the other big piece of it, which we're going to have to decide on as an industry, is the barrier to entry, right? Like, right now, the barrier to entry to be a real estate agent is super, super, super low. And I'm on the board of our association here. We always have this discussion about how do we elevate the quality of the agent? How do we get them more involved? And my answer is always, and they hate this, right? My answer is make the dues $5,000 a year. Like, never mind this kind of like $800 a year kind of dues. Like, if you want to get rid of all of the chaff, you want to get rid of all of the losers, like, make the dues $5,000 a year. You get rid of 80% of the agents. You'll net make more money as an association because the dues are higher, and you'll only get the good agents who actually sell real estate, right? And that are professionals. And so we as an industry, like, we kind of we shoot ourselves in the foot by like keeping stuff cheap and making it easy to get in, when what would happen in that case is, sorry if I'm ranting here, right? But what would happen in that case is brokers or team leaders, if I have a super good person that I believe in and they don't have the $5,000 to get the real estate career started, I'm going to front that money and I'm going to invest heavily to make sure that they're successful. So I get that return on investment, right? And so now the onus is on me to create a professional that's well trained, that can go out there and execute and serve their clients at a high level. Where right now, like any Joe Schmo can just have like $1,500 and go do their classes and then get the real estate license. And then we have 80% of realtors who don't sell anything. So it's a good discussion for our industry to kind of go through this and figure out where do we go in the future. So.
And this won't be the last
That's
one.
super. Yeah, that's an interesting take on it. Thank you for sharing that.
And these dummies, here's my opinion, my editorial on all of this, right? All of these dummies who are paying these guys off that are settling. Yeah. Number one, they're broke, so they don't have money to fight these lawsuits because they're all losing money, right? Everybody who's settled is a lose money brokerage, so they're trying to get off cheap, right? Because the lawsuits for like $4 billion. So if they pay off 25 million or 50 million, they're getting off super, super cheap. So I think that's part of the incentive. But by doing that, they're admitting guilt, right? By saying like, I mean, as soon as you pay the ransom, the kidnappers kidnap more people, right? Like you don't negotiate with terrorists. And so this is one of those situations where they're not doing themselves any favors. Like they're trying to get themselves out of a big potential bill in the future if they lose when this thing goes to court. But it's more people are going to come out of the woodworks, right? EXP has never been named in any of these because this kind of stuff happened like 5 years ago is when it all started. So we were small and people didn't really see us on the radar. But all of these big companies that were named, they're throwing chum in the water and the sharks are going to come. And this lawsuit stuff is not going to end because once you start paying people, everybody's going to want to come and get more. So
snowball effect.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, this won't be the last one we're going to see in the history of real estate. They've been going on for centuries. These kind of lawsuits always. We're the pick of the litter. And unfortunately, you're right, Dylan. The reality is we are entry level. As a real estate industry as a whole, it is entry level for a realtor to come in and sell. But yet we make a lot of money. And a lot of money that people think that we're not worthy of, to be honest, at the entry level that gets to get in here.
Yeah.
So you're right. Going back to proving your value. What is your value? What is your value proposition? What is your value worth? Well, we can just show them our value. And then it's like anything in life. It's like the free couch you throw on the curb. It's free. Nobody takes that shit until you put $5 on it. Then everybody's grabbing it because there's a dollar amount value to it. As soon as you put a dollar amount value to something, people see value in it. It is what it is, right? It's a monetary value. So what is your monetary value? What do you bring to the table to support your business and to do your fiduciary duty as a realtor, right? But then it gets very, very convoluted and watered down when you start doing these other things. So yeah, it's Jasmine, you had a question. Go for it.
I did. Dylan, I was curious about what your thoughts are going to be on how we're going to handle the VA loan because the buyers can't pay our commissions. So I'm all for negotiating my commissions, and I've done it a lot of times with flat fee brokerages that don't want to offer like more than 1%, but I don't know how to handle that moving forward on VA loans.
You would just put it in special terms. The seller will credit the buyer 3% to be paid to EXP Realty as a commission. So you could still negotiate it into the contract. The seller pays for it, but your point is important. Yeah. That's an issue and an unintended consequence that either the VA will have to change in the future because it's going to hurt consumers, right? So if you have, it's almost going to be a discriminating factor, right? If you have
that's what I was thinking.
The loans that allow for it, and the VA says you don't, now you're going to be discriminating against VA buyers because they cannot pay for their own commissions and their own representation, and so that will have to change. I mean, that's one of those big issues that will come up, unintended consequences, if this goes that way and they actually do rule that you can't, sellers don't have to pay buyer commissions.
Okay, I was curious your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's a really, really good point, Dylan. And so I went to our board's meeting last week and talking about that a little bit. And I asked the question if they were going to put together a seller listing addendum to cover this is the base commission, but then if this happens, it's A, and if this happens, it's B, and if this happens, it's C, kind of making like an addendum. And they thought that was a pretty good idea. I don't know if we're going to do it, but what are your thoughts on how do you do it? Like, let's say they come in and they want buyer credits back, but I agree with you completely. Like VA, FHA, 1% down conventional first time home buyer, like they're going to get knocked out if they don't have closing costs back from the seller. But then here, at least in the state of Illinois, we have 3% and 6% caps on cash back.
Yeah. And so I was talking to my lender friend about this, and here's another perspective that causes muddies the water, right? Is what if lenders start saying, we can do an override and lend on the cost of the commission, so the buyer can credit you back, right? And then that'll be like
More people upside down.
that gets into some weird RESPA stuff, right? But that will be another way that you would steer clients to certain lenders who will pay you back basically the commission in an additional loan cost, right? And so there's all kinds of weird stuff. I mean, there's choke stuff that they got to work through with this. I mean, there's most of the times with lawsuits and stuff, there's like a narrow focus, but you don't see if it goes one way or the other. What is the ripple effect that of everything that's it's gonna touch? So
on top of that, like code of ethics, the way people run their business, like it's like the Wild West then, right? If everyone just kind of goes off on their own, and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. It'll definitely be an exciting time to see what this ends up being like either way. But I think back to the basics is that reality is we just got to really focus back in on what we're going to be doing. A lot of people right now are sidetracked. I think this is actually designed to do that, to be quite honest. Everybody's got sidebarred and sidetracked and derailed from this thing. And a lot of it is just get back to business for right now, because reality is today, it's not really doing anything today. Tomorrow, let's get back to business, what we got to do, and then we'll see what happens in the outcome. And there's going to be ways to fix this and to circumvent around it. Reality is it's going to be. I wouldn't make this a situation where like I'm going to do or die kind of scenario. We just got to keep pushing forward and do what we got to do, I think. We got a little bit left. Dylan, you got any more cool stuff they had left on that? Something on?
One takeaway, that just a mindset thing, which I thought was great, that Brendan Burchard shared, was most people base their ambition off of their past. Just like think about that, right? When you think about your goals and where you want to go, you think about all the things in your past that limit you from getting there, or why you don't deserve it. That's a big one, right? Is most people don't deserve. Most people don't truly think that they deserve a big future, and that holds them back from actually accomplishing it, because they have all of this weird stuff in their head about, I don't deserve to have a big house. I don't deserve to have a nice car, or especially, I don't know about, the rest of you guys, but in Hawaii, you're kind of taught to like have really mediocre ambitions in life. And so reevaluate that, right? Something to just think about is, are you basing your ambition off of your past and what your past experience has been and what your family experience has been? Or are you basing it off of what you want your future to look like? Because I think that's a really good perspective to keep in mind when we set our goals and we set our visions for the future.
I love that. That is so huge. I will raise my hand to that one. I'm social heredity right there for me. 1,000%. The lack of belief thinking I deserve anything in life. So I have to work twice as hard every day.
And then develop your unfair advantage. Think about what your unfair advantage is. Like, what is your superpower? I've been focusing on this with the team a lot lately, is let's not be everybody's realtor. Let's just be somebody. Let's be a specific person's realtor. And so we don't have to be everything to everybody, because when you're everything to everybody, you're nothing to nobody. And so think about what is like your expertise, what is your niche, what is your unfair advantage. Everybody has one. It's going to be different for everybody, but just go all in on that thing, go super narrow and deep. And that's the thing that's going to carry you forward, right? And that's the thing that's going to be sustainable, is when you have that really narrow, deep focus on something that nobody else can compete with. Because we're a commodity. As long as the industry is as low barrier to entry as it can possibly be, we have to create something that differentiates us from everybody else and figure out what that is. So think about that. Evaluate what that is. What's your unfair advantage?
I love it. I heard that.
I don't feel bad about it when you leverage it and use it.
Yeah, I heard about that Brandon Burchard individual who, honestly, I think when he came on the stage, somebody said most people didn't know who he even was. Then he came out and blew the house out, and everybody was like standing ovation at the end.
Like, you guys want to hear a funny story about this? This is a funny story. So yesterday, there was 2 agents that I had separately been talking to through other agents, right? Prospect agents for EXP, that individually made the decision it was time to leave KW and come to EXP. And they literally walked into the broker's office at the exact same time. They didn't even know each other. They're 2 brand new agents. And I mean, talk about awkward, right? Like, they're both trying to sign off at the exact same time. But I thought about this in the unfair advantage, right? Both of them I had talked to previously, and both of them, I gave them the pitch on EXP. I said, you're a new agent, here's all the stuff, the amazing stuff that we do to support you. I said, you will be sold a crock of BS from everybody else you talk to. I'm just telling you now. And if you decide to go to them, as soon as it's clear to you that they sold you a crock of BS, just come back. Like, there's no harm, no foul. Like, they're going to be way better. They're going to hard sell you. I said, I will never call you back after this meeting if this doesn't make sense to you. When you find out that they lied to you, come back. And that's exactly what happened to both of them. Is they got there, they were told that they were going to have the most amazing experience at KW, this amazing training, all this support. Month goes by, like, they've never seen the broker, they've never got any training, and they're like, this doesn't make any sense. And that's our unfair advantages. We actually deliver on what we promise, right? And everybody else out there lies. And so I'm okay with being your second broker, right? I'm okay with you being your second brokerage, because I want you to know when you go in and you get hard sold and you get sold the bill of crap that all these other brokerages tell them. Just as soon as you got to plant the seed of doubt, right? As soon as you have that doubt, just come back. It's okay. It's a real quick switch. It's all good, you know? And so they're doing the work for us, you guys. These guys are doing the work for us. We just have to flex on that unfair advantage.
And it happens like that a million times. I've always told people, don't judge me on who I get, judge me on who I keep. Because I can get anybody with flashy items. Compass proved that. They flash dollar bills, they can get anybody. I talked to an agent the other day, Coldwell Banker, they paid her $100,000 to go to Coldwell Banker. And she's like, I needed the money. I get it. I'm not mad at that. I respect that 1,000%. Because if I got a suitcase of $100,000 at my desk, I'd take it too if it was in my face. Come on. We're all humans. Money talks and you know it walks. So the reality, though, is value is only value to those who see it as value. And then that value really is really real, right? And so I've had so many people who can shine shiny objects, and all of a sudden they get it and they get sold a bill of goods, and then nothing happens. After they get ghosted, they will see the real price and they come back. So yeah, that's why we really try to implement this as much as possible, where we create an environment. Dylan does an amazing job of it too. Everybody does there's a lot of great people here who do amazing jobs at that, to bring value to our team and our organization. EXP does an amazing job at bringing value to agents. So it's an ongoing piece that we're going to continue to do at EXP here, which is going to separate us from everybody else in this business moving forward. Yep.
Our unfair advantages were profitable.
Yeah.
Not desperate.
Totally. And here's the other part I say about the guys that now have copycatted us. Yes, they will copycat, but never will replicate it, because we have one thing that they'll never have, and that's an amazing ecosystem that supports 90,000 agents on a very, very, very high level, very robust system. It's not a Zoom call. It's not a text message. It's a real live living ecosystem that is very, very usable. They don't have that. They never will. So our support is real. That's why we can actually overpromise that kind of stuff and still deliver. They can promise it and try to sell it, but they'll never be able to deliver. It is what it is. So awesome, Dylan. Appreciate that. Look forward. I think next year EXP Con is in Florida. That is a good flight.
Miami. Yep.
Is it going to be Miami too? Oh,
yep.
Okay. All right. So Miami. Awesome. All right. Well, we're moving forward this year, though. Dylan, your level up's coming up in December. For those who haven't seen it, again, if you're in Hawaii, level up in December on the Big Island. Working on right now build for 2024. Still working on 3 resorts, but we're, I think, hoping for a month of May. I'll have some definitive dates for that as soon as possible. So yeah, we got a lot of things happening here coming up in Hawaii, and hopefully somewhere in your neck of the woods too, we can help grow and support you guys too. Okay. Awesome. Missed you guys too. Definitely, I'll be there in Florida for sure. We'll be in Florida for that one in Miami. So you guys have an amazing week. EXP explained on Thursday, and I will be doing, I think, an EXP live in-person lunch and learn here. I think on the last Thursday of the month. I'll get the date and everything. I'll put it out there in a minute. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do an in-person one here on the island. So a lunch and learn in-person live one. Coming, I think, last Thursday of the month. So awesome. All right. You guys have an amazing week. I want to stay true to the hour. Have a great, thanks, Dylan. I appreciate all that, you guys. Love you all. Have an amazing week. If you need anything.
Awesome week, you guys.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.